How many of these do you think it's going to take? Hello, it's me again. The beginning of these videos is always really difficult for me to start with because I'm not in the right headspace for talking and rambling. I'm so used to just sitting in silence and letting all that conversation happen internally in my mind that now bringing it out into the open is kind of a weird hurdle that I have to overcome that it's not natural. Let's talk about the Devin Townsend Superspective again. It has been 7 months, maybe 8, but I would say about 8 months. Last time I was here updating properly, it was December of last year. If you haven't seen me in the past 7 to 8 months, then you probably have absolutely no idea where I'm at with this project right now, if that's something you're interested in learning about. I figured I would give this one last update before the project is finished. What I mean by that is I only have one section left to make. In December, when I talked last time, I was working on Ziltoid. That was like, I don't know, section 13 or something like that. I just finished Power Nerd the other day. That's section 25. The Moth, the last section, is section 26, and then everything after that I have to do is just in line with making my analysis sections or recording, my opinions on the music itself and how it connects to the story that I've been working on for a year and a half, figuring out what to do with the intermission sections so that it kind of just like breaks up and it's not just a constant stream of information. Have a little fun in between major arcs of Devin's career. I have a Word document here that's supposed to help me get through this, to help me kind of communicate what's been going on. So the first point on here is that I'm almost done the history sections. I just brought that up. The Moth is the last section. It's probably going to be pretty long because of how much gets covered in that and how long, the Moth requires me to kind of jump back a little bit and talk about where it started and how it became like a decade-long process, not just, what happens after Power Nerd gets released in that like year and a half span. The next point is here is extended the Moth section to include the release of the album and the return to touring. So for the past year and a half, I have written a script that stops at when Devin sits down after the Power Nerd tour of 2025 and says, like, I'm done. Right? Technically it's before the tour, but the tour is meant to represent like I'm going on an indefinite hiatus, taking a break, not doing this anymore until I say so to take care of my family and, my aging parents and stuff like that. That was where the project was going to end because that's kind of around when I started it. Nothing really had happened. The Moth hadn't released yet when I started working on this. But now, and I knew this was going to happen because Devin is significantly harder working than I am. Now that the Moth has come out and now that he's back to touring, stopping the project where I had wanted to stop it originally seems kind of anticlimactic because everybody knows the Moth comes out, everybody knows he's going back to touring, so it doesn't end on as much of like I wonder what's going to happen because everybody kind of already knows what's going to happen. And so I decided to extend the Moth section to include everything that happens after the Power Nerd tour to somewhere around now. Now that I'm a lot closer to finishing it, it'll hopefully be a lot easier for me to make that an actual ending, and hopefully nothing else significant happens between now and when the project comes out. Chances are it will, but I have to stop somewhere. Otherwise, this project just isn't going to get released at all. So the Moth section is now going to include all that. It's an extra 2 pages to the script. The script now is like 89 pages, still around 30, almost 40,000 words. And that's only the stuff that I'm saying. I've talked about this before. Anyway, third bullet point, actively recording album analysis sections. So I think it was 2 weeks ago, I decided to sit down and actually start to record myself talking about the albums themselves. I started with Sex and Religion, and I just went down the career from start to finish, and I stopped at about Z2. That's when my camera battery died, and I decided I didn't want to wait to charge it and do more recording. I think it got really late in the night when I was doing that. So the funny thing about that is that my hair and my facial hair is going to change significantly throughout the project since it's taken me a year and a half to make. My facial hair as it stands now is rather long and unkept. My hair, of course, has gotten longer. I have to tie it back now unless I look like Jesus. And so throughout the project, my hair is going to go from long to short. Do you wear wigs? And the answer is no. I've just taken way too long to finish this project. It's going to be inconsistent in that matter. So my hair is going to be kind of like, I don't know, like maybe chin length for the initial sections where I do the asides, and then when it gets to the album analysis at the end of the first section, it's going to be like there's going to be like a full year in between recording that stuff. So I'm just going to be jumping back and forth. I'm going to look different in all areas of this project, but I'm going to allow that to be weird and everything else to stay consistent and sort of chronological. But yes, now I'm recording those sections now. I'm about halfway through. The next bullet point here is brainstorming the intermission topics like Easter eggs, fun facts, concepts connected to why I decided to make the project in the first place. So the intermission sections, as I've stated on a number of occasions, are going to be like not vital information, just some sort of fun. Given that it's going to be a YouTube video, I can understand that anyone can just pause it and go take a piss whenever they want to. So an intermission section doesn't really matter. It's not like a live sports event where everybody's like, oh, I can't go now because the game's still on. But like the video, you can just pause it and just do whatever you want, take a break whenever you want. Intermissions in between major arcs of the story just to keep it fun and take a break for a little while, but still enjoy the content and let it keep rolling. I got to figure out what I want to do for those. So like I have listed here, things like Easter eggs, fun facts, stuff that isn't necessarily propelling the story forward, but stuff that has happened during that time that I think is interesting and fun and kind of adds like flavor text to the story that I'm trying to tell, and concepts connected to why I decided to make this project in the first place. So there is a whole other universe behind the Devin Townsend Superspective, which connects my motivation to creating it and the ultimate mission statement that I'm going to provide at the end of the project, which is about finding passion in things that you care about and going the extra mile to share the things that you love in ways that can be understood and appreciated by others. And so the Devin Townsend Superspective was my way, because I was super passionate and am still super passionate about this music, and I want a lot of people to share in that with me because I think it's really special. Shoving music down other people's throats is not the way you get people kind of on board with how much you like it. The best way to do it is to let them have the opportunity to listen to it on their own, kind of like how we got into it. If you're also one of those people, you may have tried to be that kind of person before that says you should really listen to this music, listen to this music, listen to this music, and it kind of just pushes people away from wanting to do it just because of how much you're pushing it onto them. So this is my way of doing that without doing it, giving everybody all the information they can so that when they do listen to the music on their own, in their own environment, at their own pace, and as genuine and natural as they can possibly do, they also have all of this other stuff to help them understand it. So that's what this was about. And the mission statement that I'm trying to make here is that Devin is just one example. And if you are extremely passionate about any other topic at all, then you can do the same thing that I'm doing here about that topic, providing all the necessary information or the things that you think are important to help somebody else get invested in the things that you're invested in without forcing them into that role, right? To actually put them in the position when they may not be comfortable doing it at that moment. Let it be natural and organic, and give them everything you think they need so that they can, use it as sort of a foundation to understand why it's so important, to help them appreciate it just as much as you do. So the next point here, discuss total length of the project now that we're almost there. This is honestly really surprising, and now that I'm almost finished, it's pretty damn cool. As I've mentioned, I'm up to Power Nerd now. Power Nerd is finished. I'm gonna take a moment here actually to open a notepad document that I've been holding on to for a little while. So I've posted this a couple times on my Instagram, and I'm not going to share my screen for this because it's just a text document. But what I've done is I've rendered out each of the sections that I've made so far, and I've tallied up the run times of each of the sections. So for example here, section 0 and section 1, which is the intro to the project as well as the early life leading up to when he gets signed onto Relativity to be a part of Steve Vai's band. That first bit is 12 minutes and 37 seconds as an example. So that's section 1 and section 0 kind of combined together. 12 minutes, 37 seconds. Section 2, Vai and the Wild Hearts, which is what happens immediately after that, is then 26 minutes and 45 seconds. You get what I mean? So through all the way to section 25, which is Power Nerd, I can kind of give you an example of how long this project is going to be. So for the most part, I would say like 70 to 80% of the sections are around, if not slightly under, 30 minutes, which was cool up until I got to Transcendence, and that doubled. So from Transcendence onward, the average was like 40 to 50 minutes to almost an hour. Empath so far is the only section that I have that has exceeded an hour. It is an hour and 6 minutes. And I also had to change the puzzle section into two. I had to split them up into Pandemic and the puzzle, because that one was going to be like an hour and a half. So those two are like 49 minutes and 43 minutes respectively. Lightwork is 42 minutes. Power Nerd is 56 minutes. And then the last section is the Moth, which I can expect to also exceed the 1 hour mark. So for all of you interested in just how long this project is going to be, from section 0 to section 25, so far, the Devin Townsend Superspective is 14 hours, 34 minutes, and 28 seconds. That doesn't include the Moth section, which I just said is probably going to exceed an hour, so you can say somewhere around the 15-hour mark, maybe even 15 and a half or 16 hours. And that also doesn't include all the analysis sections, which are going to get added to the end of every one of these sections here that I've already done. Because I've recorded a couple of them so far, a lot of them are around the 10 to 15 minute mark unedited. I should be able to cut them up and maybe get them all down to be less than 10 minutes each. So if there's 25 sections and they're all maybe 5 to 10 minutes, that's still another couple of hours added on top of that. So I would say the final runtime for the Devin Townsend Superspective is going to be somewhere between like 18 to 20 hours. So almost a full day of material here. So for any of you out there that are the kind of person that late at night they say, you know, I'm not gonna, abide by my responsibilities because this person just uploaded a video about something I'm mildly interested in and it's like 4 hours long and I'm just gonna sit down and eat popcorn and binge that. This is definitely the project for you. I do not expect anyone to do that. I do not expect anyone to sit through this project all in one sitting. I've written some more stuff down here and I'm just going to read it, and it's going to be kind of a summarization of what I've already said. Only one more section to go. The Moth is likely going to be over an hour in length due to me extending it by 2 pages. I've already said that. Since I'm not done recording bits for it, it still isn't wise for me to announce a release for it yet. Also true. What I am going to do, however, is finish the project completely, and upon making sure that the release goes smoothly, so making sure that it can be rendered entirely as one huge, almost 20-hour long project. I do not know if my hardware here can handle something of that size. I do not know if I have the file space on my computer to make a file of that size. If that happens, it's going to get split up into parts, and we'll talk about that later. I'm really hoping that that does not happen. It also needs to be test uploaded to YouTube to make sure that it actually works, because I would hate for me to say to everybody that it's going to be released on this day, be ready for it, and then somebody's sitting there waiting for it, and I go to upload it and it doesn't work, and I have these huge obstacles that take God knows how long to fix. I need to make sure that that's all figured out before I say anything. Once I can confirm that it will go smoothly when I click the upload button, then that is when I'll announce the date for its release. So I'll make sure that it all works out, and then I'll make sure that it doesn't actually get uploaded, because that would be really anticlimactic. And I think what my plan is, it says, what I've written here, it says, I will announce the date maybe 2 weeks following. So once it's all smooth and ready to go, I'll say, okay, I'm going to go 2 weeks in advance, and I'm going to say that's the date it's going to be released. I'll go around and I'll announce, I'll make another video kind of like this saying, hey, the project is done. This is when it's going to get released. Look out for it. And from then to the date that it gets released, I'm going to try and advertise it as much as I can and upload little teasers and stuff like that from the project itself to get everybody on board. During that time, I'll try to advertise and tease with content on my socials as often as I can, uploading the animated dev head stuff or other content related to Devin. I'll make one more announcement video once the project is done to kick off the countdown and ask for you to spread the word. That's honestly going to be one of the biggest things that next update is going to be about. Once the project's done and I tell you guys it's done, I'm going to need your help. I'm going to need a lot of help. I'm going to be posting stuff everywhere, Facebook, Reddit, everywhere I can, maybe even in the Patreon, just to get people on board with it. But you reaching out to one person is going to do a lot better than YouTube's algorithm, Reddit's algorithm, Facebook's algorithm. And I'm only just one guy. I know all of my friends that are interested in the project will be there, and I'll tell them in person. But I think a lot of the attention towards this project is going to come from you guys spreading the word. So I would like to humbly ask that when this project is done, do your best to share it. Share it in places that you don't think people know that this project is happening. And I would really appreciate it, because I've spent a lot of time working on this, and I would love for as many people to see it as possible, because I think this is worth watching, and I think it's you know, interesting stuff that nobody else has ever done before. Big deep breath. So ultimately, I'm hoping for this project to get released this year, and that is as specific as I'm going to get about it as possible. A lot of this is a first time for me. Editing software, mic setup, camera setup, recording, putting it all together, just even using YouTube now in its current state, because the last time I used YouTube regularly like this, I was in high school. Anything could happen, and anything could set this back like an unbelievable amount. And if that does happen, right, I don't want to have anybody's expectations destroyed. So for the time being, nothing is concrete, but I'm hoping that this gets released sometime this year. So at the very least, you've only got like 5 more months at most for this project to come out. Coming back to the sheer length of the project and how it is intended to be absorbed, I will reiterate again that this isn't meant to be watched all in one place. I don't intend to retain your attention for 20 hours. That's absurd. You have a life, I hope, and you're not going to be able to watch this all in one sitting. If you have a day to yourself, and that's what you choose to do with your time, the last thing I'm going to do is judge you. You can do whatever you want, but I don't want you to look at this and think, how the hell does this guy expect me to actually learn anything from this? If it's 20 hours long, I'm going to make it like 10% of the way through, and then I'm just going to fall asleep. What's his problem? So I want to make it absolutely known to everybody that the Devin Townsend Superspective is not meant to be absorbed in that fashion. I've been calling it an encyclopedia in chronological order. I want to take all of the important information, put it into one place, and make it extremely convenient for those trying to explore the music and understand the music to have hundreds of magazine articles, YouTube videos, interviews, podcasts, scrunched down into one place so that they can just absorb all the material. I've tried my best to make it flow so that you can watch it in long stretches, but not to the degree where I would expect anyone to retain 100% of the information after watching the entire thing. For new people, they can just watch it from beginning to end and understand it. Listen to the albums at certain points in the video for, you know, the best experience. And it also doubles as a way for already established fans to just kind of drag the playhead of the video to the album they want to hear more about. Maybe they don't really understand Empath, for example. Well, they can just go and watch the Empath section, and maybe they'll appreciate Empath more after learning about how it had been created, or what it was meant to represent, or the lyrical content, or, you know, what went into it, right? You don't have to watch it from start to finish. Of course, with Devin and how intertwined his own personal mental health is with his own music, a lot of it's going to be context beforehand, you know, understanding why he left the Devin Townsend project and what it meant to him and creative freedom and all that is going to play into why Empath was created. And so all the story before Empath is really important, but it's not forced. It's not, you know, like, you don't have to watch it from beginning to end if you don't want to. You can go to just one album and see, you know, what went into Epicloud, what went into Key, what went into Ziltoid. Ultimately, it's just a convenient way to learn about this music artist. It saves you the trouble of having to go to all of these destinations to learn this information. It just kind of, it's like a hyperlink to all of this information, and it's just there. It's important for me to just make sure that you know that, yeah, it's a lot. I'm not trying to keep your attention through the whole thing, but I've done my best to make it entertaining throughout. So if you choose to watch the whole thing, it kind of serves that purpose. But I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that are just like, oh my god, that's a lot of information, I need to take a break. Totally understandable. That's kind of the point. Moving on. So all that's left for me now is to finish the last section of the Moth, record the remaining album analysis, and do the intermission stuff. Alongside the album analysis stuff is obviously going to be editing the album analysis sections down and incorporating all the interviews that I did last year with the community members and finding a spot for them all to sit in. Everybody gets a chance to be a part of the project, whether they sent in a written email or if I actually interviewed them video like I'm doing right now, and then sticking it all together and praying to God that it works and that I don't have to release it in parts. If any of what I'm talking about right now sounds confusing, don't freak out. I'm kind of like a hermit right now. As you can see, and as you can probably hear, I've spent the past year and a half obsessing about something that is unbelievably niche and specific. I'm kind of like that, like you turn all the lights off and I'm in there with the cork board, tying strings around, trying to figure out, who done it. Like who murdered whoever, and I'm just like connecting people and things and evidence and all that, and I haven't slept in 3 years or something like that. No sunlight. If this is the first time you're seeing me speak about this project, you might be missing kind of some story beats right now. I've posted stuff before. You can check out the other videos where I kind of go from start to finish on what I intend for this project to be, what it's meant to represent, and why I'm making it, and updates along the way for how I've been working on it, and hopefully that helps you, catches you up to speed. To end this off, before my camera tells me that it needs to stop recording, the next time you see me, the project, the Devin Townsend Superspective, is going to be finished. The next time you see me, it'll be done, and I will tell you when it's going to get released. This is the last time I'm going to update you before the project is done. The next time you see me, it will be done. I'll tell you when it's released. I'm going to start advertising shit, and I'm going to ask you to spread the word, and we're all going to be in this together. Thank you for taking the time, and I will see you next time with a finished Devin Townsend Superspective after almost 2 years of working on it. And let's see where this shit takes us. All right, cool. Bye.